Attack from space this week on Destructomundo.
It's on, it's on.
There's no sound. Play with the rabbit ears.
Reports, incredible as they seem, are not the results of mass hysteria.
Mass hysteria. What do they think we're imagining all this?
Destructomundo.
Space. Outer space.
Yeah, outer space.
Not just general space.
Right. No inner space. Not yet.
Space is attacking me. I'm currently being attacked by space.
That's right.
Which means, by definition, you're also being attacked by time.
You're going to lose.
Yes, the time-space continuum is constantly, fighting.
Yes.
With everyone, but especially you.
So that's been established. So.
Stop fighting the continuum. Your mom said to do that.
No, I've never seen a UFO. Have you seen a UFO?
Well, I've seen some very unusual flying objects. I've never seen anything that was unquestionably not, impossibly human. Where it was by the.
You haven't seen a flying saucer?
No, the circumstances of the sighting were not so dramatically bizarre that it could, without, that it had to be something from beyond this earth or whatever, I've seen a few. I had a weird incident as a child that was witnessed by both my brothers, my father, and a friend of one of my brothers, and we were all there and saw a strange lighted object, in the night sky, completely silent. My brother and his friends saw it down by this guy's house. This was late on a summer night. They noticed something in the distance. And
sure you all didn't have just a little too much to drink with the old man.
No, I was like 8 at the time.
Oh, okay,
and then they came up
beer.
and told us, and they were like, "There's this." We saw this, and they came up and got myself and my other brother and my dad, and we all went out back, and we could see it, and it didn't really have lights on it. You could see enough of a. It was kind of low in the night sky, and it was to the east. So it was not in line with like the sunset, so there was no sort of glow or glare or anything involved with that, because the sun would have been behind us as we were looking eastwards and seeing it, and it was well past sunset, but you could still see a little bit of glow off to the west. But and as we were all watching it, it moved almost. I'm tempted to say instantaneously, sort of from point A to point B, as it sort of shot across a good arc of the sky.
Just that fast.
Just zap. It seemed to just go, and which is classic UFO stuff, that sort of instantaneous movement. There's no acceleration.
Yeah.
No deceleration. It just seems to go zap from A to B. And then it was just there. And then it was a little bit closer and we could see better. And really, you could see it, not it so much as the silhouette that it cast against the sky behind it.
Yeah.
And it did have that sort of classic disc shape. And it was sort of like a dark spot against. You could see it against the sky behind it, because the sky wasn't like jet black yet. It was that sort of dark blue black, and there was a pretty decent star field because we were not, in the city. This was out, where I grew up, suburbia, which at the time was still relatively undeveloped out there.
Well, that would have been in the 70s, height of the Cold War.
Yeah, it would have been late 70s. Yeah,
could have been Russian.
So it just sat there, and there was no noise. There wasn't like blinking lights around it, but you could you could clearly see it silhouetted against the sky, and it was absolutely, when it was in, you know, sort of point A and point B, it was completely motionless, and there was that instantaneous, seemed to zap from the two, you know, from point A to point B, and then beyond that it just sat there. It wasn't rotating, it wasn't, there was no lights, there was no sound, but you could clearly see that there was an object there silhouetted against the sky.
What would you gauge its distance at? Position?
That's really hard to say. It was
I
not.
mean, since you don't have a really good sense of how big it was, it'd be kind of difficult.
It didn't seem huge, and it didn't seem terrifically far. I mean, I'm not really good at judging like an aerial distance.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say perhaps at least I don't know how, maybe a mile. It's hard to. I can't judge how far I could see straight across in the sky. But
yeah,
it wasn't really close, but it was big enough.
You could tell it was far away from you, not.
Well, I'd say
close.
I mean, I can't estimate like degrees, astronomical degrees of how many degrees of the sky it obscured. But like, if you held your hand at arm's length, it was probably, you know, like the distance between thumb and forefinger, it would have been perhaps about 2 inches.
Oh Lord,
An inch and a half to 2 inches.
that's pretty good size.
It looked like a decent size, but you could see it. It had that classic sort of flat disc shape, and it was a little bit at an angle, so you weren't looking at it directly from the side.
Of course, you know, you wouldn't want to actually hold your hand out and do that gesture, because then the aliens could take that as a hostile sign that you're trying to crush them.
And you said there was no lights on it?
There were no lights, but you could see it silhouette, because like I said, the sky was still sort of that blue-black color as it's getting dark, but there were stars out, but you could clearly see it. You know, and we sat there and watched it for, it seemed like a long time, and then it got late, and we all had to go to bed. And none of us could, like, stay up all night to see what happened with it.
But it just stayed there.
It stayed there. There was that initial zap from, like, point A to point B, which had to be a good distance across the sky. You know, it wasn't like a quick blip. I mean, it was a pretty good movement.
I've never heard of one that stayed long enough to where you're like, well,
that's because they know when you get the cameras out.
Gotta go to bed. Tell. Well, it's like in Close Encounters when they're all hanging out on the road waiting for the show to start.
Yeah,
you know, and it's late at night.
But that was that's certainly. But you know, I mean, that was a weird thing. It you know, the behavior of it, like I said, the no acceleration, no deceleration, no sound, no lights.
Mm-hmm.
That's all really weird, but. You know, I can't say with beyond a shadow of a doubt that was something unearthly, you know, because I didn't see like a crazy spaceship. You know, I didn't see occupants. You know,
no,
there was nothing like that.
Yeah,
but I mean, it was really weird, and we all sat there, you know, and it was like, I don't know what that could be. I mean, look there's something over there, you know.
Sure.
And after we sat there for a while, you know, like I said, it got late. And eventually we all had to go to bed. And I mean, some of us stayed up late. I don't remember who was the last one out there, but it never did anything else that anyone else ever saw.
Well, Ted, do you have any?
I have no
otherworldly story.
That's the best one I have. There was one afternoon I saw something that very much looked like a luminous sphere.
I've seen comets. And I have seen.
I've seen stuff
meteors.
like that. Yeah.
Yes.
I haven't seen.
And I saw a green meteor once with a friend, and wasn't sure what that was until I told my science teacher, and he was like, "Oh, that was more than likely a meteor with a large amount of iron."
Yeah.
To make that color, and
does it burn?
Yeah, because it burns that glow.
Okay.
Sort of a lime green, almost day glow.
But I saw something it was broad daylight, middle of the afternoon, and it looked to be a sort of blue-white luminous sphere. And it seemed close enough that if it were a plane, it would have looked like a plane.
Yeah, I've seen planes up close that are coming in for a landing, and all you see initially, especially at dusk, is just the nose gear like headlight.
Yeah.
And then eventually,
you
know, you can see the rest of the plane, and at first it's just that big giant light.
Yes.
And then
I've seen satellites go over at night.
I've seen blinking lights that I thought maybe were satellites. It's difficult to say because
well, they could be planes though too. 'Cause planes have lights
it
that
could
blink
be a large,
all the time.
flying plane. And most satellites are in geosynchronous orbit, and it's very tricky for anybody here to see anything in geosynchronous orbit.
I saw the Hale-Bopp comet. I guess that was pretty
I
freaking
missed that.
cool.
And I also missed
It was really
Halley's
neat.
Comet.
Well, Halley's comet was a long time ago, but the last one, the Hale-Bopp, it was really neat looking.
But you didn't go up with the. You can go up to the mothership.
No. One time, the
This poor
local
guy.
police
And I
helicopter
don't-
tried to beam me up, but
I don't,
that just didn't work.
I avoid meteor showers.
Sure.
Day of the trip. and
Well,
stuff,
of
you know.
course.
So I do not go watch meteor showers. So.
However, I was at the shoe store the other day, and you can now buy the black Nikes that the group had from Heaven's Gate.
Really?
That they all had those black Nikes,
Okay.
the running shoes, like the old retro ones. They stopped making them for a while, and you couldn't buy them. And now,
after the Heaven's Gate.
now they're available again. I thought about buying
For
them.
the trip up Heaven's Chimney
That's right.
in a UFO brand flying saucer.
Oh yeah.
No, I mean that's the two that I have, but like I said, another one was so dramatic. Well,
it's if you watch TV, and there's plenty of UFO programming, especially on cable television, with videos of UFO sightings, and you've got all the old stuff, which is either obviously a plastic model dangling from a stick, or it's a drunk alien flying a really crappy flying saucer.
Wires.
Well, I mean, if you watch the movement, they just kind of sway back and forth.
Yes,
And it's
there's
like,
there's a lot of hokey crap.
And then, but see, now it'd be hard to tell if it's a real video or not.
I can tell. I can tell the difference between the models in Star Wars.
No.
And
Well,
the CGI
I mean,
stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot.
You can take a home video camera and get nice shaky footage of like general sky.
Oh yeah.
And then edit it online or on a computer where you can't really tell what's going on, but it looks like. So
that's the
I wouldn't
thing.
trust.
I mean, there
video.
are certain signatures that the editing actually gives it to where it shows up as being edited. Like there's only so many things that you can do with the software that you can make those kind of movies with, to where someone who does that all the time is going to be like, yeah, I recognize that, I recognize this. That motion is exactly what maybe Adobe Premiere will do.
Well,
and
I mean, just to the layperson watching television and seeing UFO videos on TV.
Oh, sure. I mean, you can fool the population, but there's always going to be some crackpot that goes, that's not real.
Yeah.
That's not real, and then the government will haul him off, and we won't have to worry about him anymore. Yeah.
Because where's Hangar
Spouting out
18
that
supposed to
stuff.
be? It was supposed to be at Wright-Patterson, right?
I've been to
They-
Hangar 18. I stood out in front of the place.
Yeah, because that's
I've been there too, and I didn't see anything.
Yeah, that's where Blue Book was based.
But they did have a...
and I didn't see Megadeth there either. I didn't see Dave Mustaine. He wasn't there.
They were rebuilding a George, a Mitsubishi George.
Really?
Yeah. Not a Zero, but Zeros are generic names. But
Well, not to get off on a discussion of airplanes, but Wright-Patterson used to have a really cool airplane graveyard that I found accidentally when I was about 13. It was really neat.
Really?
Yeah. It's like if you take a wrong turn into the Air Force Base, you go up to a dead-end street with a gate, and if you look past the gate, there's just a bunch of airplane parts sitting in a field.
Nice.
Pretty neat.
So you can
I
go
don't know if
from
it's
there.
still there, though. I haven't been there in years. But anyway, I didn't see any UFOs in Hangar 18.
From if I remember correctly, there were the earlier projects before Blue. I know there was Project Grudge, the ominously named Project Grudge.
Yeah.
Which is a good name for a project to disprove flying saucers. Project Grudge, but I think Wright-Patterson was one of the centers for the. It may not have been called that at the time. It was the ATIC, the Air Technical Intelligence Center, which was the guys that examined enemy aircraft and back engineered them.
Right.
And it was assigned in with those guys. And the theory that if they found a spacecraft, these were the guys that would be able to analyze it better than anybody. But so much of that's entered like urban legend shit,
Sure.
Hangar 18 and whatnot. But Blue Book was probably like 2 rooms, like 2 office rooms with some filing cabinets in it and a desk.
Oh, really?
It's probably all that was ever there. You know? There was no big hangar with anything. It was probably just like a couple of office. Is it like at the end of a hallway, you know, with like nothing on the door and like a couple of bored guys sitting in there answering the phone, you know, and looking through grainy black and white photographs going, I don't know, that looks like a...
It's just like any other government job where there's guys paid to just sit there and do nothing. I mean, that's what they say. It's harder to get fired from a government job than any other job because the paperwork is insane.
So,
So here, you file all these crackpots... accounts.
Well, I mean, legitimately,
UFO
there's UFO sightings. If you just want to say unidentified flying objects, I mean, you can talk all day to airline pilots that swear they saw.
That's the
shit
thing.
flying.
Oh, sure.
I mean, people argue whether or not UFOs exist, which is
I believe they do.
Well, no,
talking about flying saucers.
Yeah,
and things
that's like a semantic difference. Right. UFOs are unquestionably a reality.
Mm-hmm.
That means,
unidentified flying objects, of course.
But then the whole thing is the debate as to whether or not they are extraterrestrials. I mean, that's obviously, when people say, I don't believe in UFOs, and it's like saying I don't believe in cheese. You know what I mean? Because it's there. There's all these things that are flying around, and no one's been able to identify it, and therefore it is by definition an unidentified flying object.
Sure.
So just the question is, do you look at the facts and as much evidence as you have, and do you or do you not conclude that it must be, a technological, not a naturally occurring phenomenon. It has to be some sort of manufactured technological artifact, and its performance, is beyond anything of our, that we could achieve. So it must be of extraterrestrial origin. I mean, that's... And then, what are they doing? They just...
And, it's amazing to me that nothing's been leaked, too. I mean, you can make... you've got people, I guess all the people from the Area 51 crash, who apparently were there, swearing up and down that they,
Oh, you mean the Roswell crash?
Stuff?
Oh, the Roswell crash.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But then they say it was some mylar.
From a
weather balloon.
Right.
But then they also, have the alien autopsy and all the other stuff. And
that was so obviously bogus. I remember that was funny.
It's gotten, there's, I don't know. It bothered me because, I was a pretty weird kid growing up because I grew up in the 70s and I read all kinds of books on flying saucers, and I read a bunch of, I loved flying saucer books, Bigfoot books, more than anything. I wasn't really into ghost stuff, supernatural stuff, really. But I read a lot of that, of flying saucer stuff, Bigfoot, weird monster stuff, and just loved it. And you couldn't talk to people about it. You couldn't talk about flying saucers. What? And you had a few things on TV every now and then. You had the coolest show, The Night Stalker.
Oh, sure.
That had real monsters. That had,
what was the show that was on with Leonard Nimoy as the host?
In Search Of.
In Search Of.
Yeah,
that was one of the best shows.
You had stuff like that occasionally, but not too many people watched it. But so I remember I was really, really resentful years later when the X-Files was suddenly a huge hit, and all these people started talking about all this stuff.
Oh yeah, and
I'm like I've been into this stuff since 1974. And now it's suddenly it's cool, and everybody had the little alien head on the back of their car, the little stickers, with the gray heads, and I'm like, and people would be like, we don't, and I could try to mention something, and then I was clear that I knew way more about it.
Now you can't.
Than you learn from the X-Files,
You can't trust somebody's picture of, because there was the people that would draw the picture of the alien that they saw. It's like, geez, man, that's on a sticker.
Yeah, so much of it's entered into...
I got a shirt with that on it. That's on my lighter.
That's because that's what they look like.
They got the big black eye.
Everybody knows that's what they look like. But, I guess the question becomes, well, why haven't they landed at the, Sonic or whatever and been like, okay, we're here to kill y'all or to take over.
It's alien probing. They wanted to probe people.
Well,
if it's, I think they've had plenty of time for reconnaissance
Yeah.
and analysis.
I think they know what the human
They're
rectum looks like
if
after the
they're-
first
they're
shot.
alien
If,
teens out on a weekend messing with their heads.
If,
It's like cow tipping on another planet.
if
Yeah, it's
know,
possible.
if they haven't, if they haven't discovered what they needed to discover yet, they have the worst intelligence.
Sure, I mean, I
Depart-
don't know
you know,
what they're going to understand
Because
from us.
they've had plenty of time for reconnaissance and analysis. Their intel is apparently crap because they haven't figured it out yet and decided.
Oh, they have no communication network.
Okay.
Apparently.
Because they're monitoring all of our television transmissions and radio. They've had plenty of time for that.
I wonder what they like best about our transmission.
Probably not much right now.
Well, I mean, we've got some crap TV going on for sure.
They
but
probably like the Discovery Channel.
I wonder if they know that, like, radio stinks. They got to be like, man, it's like the same stuff over and over again. Human beings just, can't deal with anything, original or new. They just like repetition. They like pretty colors and repetition. They can't have a good opinion of us from our broadcast.
I don't have a good opinion of us from the broadcast, so I don't know.
Well, I mean, they don't,
But why wouldn't... you'd think there's more than one species of extraterrestrial. Maybe they're the only ones that are in the neighborhood, but somebody else is... There hasn't been an attack on the planet,
As far as we know, there hasn't been an attack on the planet. There hasn't been like the all-out War of the Worlds where we...
Well, what other attack would you make?
Well, you could infiltrate and then, defeat us from the inside. Take over our governments, have our own people...
Well, they're doing a shitty job of that if that's what they're doing.
Because, if they land, they
this
get
is the
whole
worst
world in a
alien-controlled
panic.
government ever.
It's just, what about, what about they live?
It's like their secret weapon is trade deficits or something.
They
It's
live,
terrible.
We
man.
would bankrupt them all from within.
That's right.
They take over our government and drive our country into the toilet.
Then they sell us goods and utilities. We got this great power.
Well, I don't know. Even in They Live, though,
yeah.
there was a master plan. The master plan that if they've taken over is just terrible.
If we obviously, well, we can, without understanding their motivations. Obviously, if they were peaceful and just whatever they want to, welcome us into the Galactic Brotherhood or whatever,
the Alliance.
all that, and obviously that's a whole different thing than
I hope it's not as nerdy as Babylon 5 or anything like that when we finally do find out that we're not alone in the universe.
They're not that bad. But I guess if assuming with our our field of discussion, if they don't have good intentions, say they do finally decide to come to Earth in force,
we're screwed.
and they don't have good intentions, to me there's the main thing that's going to affect their course of action is if their intentions are, do they want to conquer us, or do they want to exterminate us
or enslave us
or eat
That's
us?
what I mean. Well, that's what I mean. Like, but one involves like just defeating us, but they have some use for it. If they want us like as cheap labor or as a food source, or they want to conquer us, take over our planet, but keep us alive.
Yeah.
Or do they just want the real estate?
Or maybe they want our.
I mean, it's one of those
food
things.
sources. Maybe they have lettuce and corn.
So they have to conquer us, but they have to keep us alive because they don't know how to grow.
Exactly.
But I mean, no, it doesn't matter.
50 feet tall and have
but
terribly huge
that's,
tentacles. We can't grow corn.
That's what I mean. That the specifics don't matter. What they need us for, but if it's a question of if they have some use for us or they don't.
Yeah.
Because one thing, like they'll need to defeat us without
us destroying the planet.
Yeah. But the other one is like if they just want the planet, like every like in our history, when somebody would arrive someplace and be like, "This would be a great land if we got rid of all these non-white people," and then they just embark on a campaign.
Maybe they'll just imprison us like in Battlefield Earth.
Don't ever mention that.
Yeah, let's not get into that
ever again. But it's the equivalent of like that, where like some explorer arrives someplace and they have a use for the land, but they have to get rid of the natives, and there's a campaign of extermination.
Yeah,
but you have to be careful because you don't want to destroy the natural stuff that's of use.
Well, if we don't join their heathen religion,
So I think that's the really big thing that's going to affect it, and either way, I don't see any way that the main thing is. I don't see how we could not be at a huge technological disadvantage.
Sure.
I don't really... I can't come up with any possible circumstances where we would not be at a huge technological
I think our only choice... the only thing that we could do to fend them off would be to just... pretty much just destroy the planet. With crappy nuclear weapons. With like... nuclear weapons and be just like, oh crap,
we're going down, we're taking you with us.
Yeah,
it's like going to buy a car and the guy does, or like if you're going to steal a car and the guy that you want to steal a car from just says, screw you, buddy, and takes a big dump in the car. You're not going to steal the car. It's like you're not going to take it. So that's the only thing we could do. I'd be like, oh yeah, check this out, boom.
I'm totally going to crap in your car,
it's kinda
man.
Like, you can have
come
it.
on, aliens, we're going to totally take a crap.
So it's
you're not going to want this planet. No way.
That's the only analogy I could come up with.
You don't really achieve anything other than like,
get down on your knees and lick it. Lick the earth. They'll go, oh.
So it's like, well, yeah, then like they get rid of us, but then the earth's not worth having.
Well, maybe the atmosphere is the problem, and they're just. What they're doing is they're slowly degrading the ozone layer because.
Well, they can't live with that.
They like a really hot place.
They don't like that ozone. They can't handle it.
I don't like ozone either. Well,
they're terraforming. They're down here terraforming. They're turning our atmosphere into theirs.
That's probably
they're doing
they're very creative. That's what I was thinking.
It's all those factories, man. They're belching out that stuff into the atmosphere to terraform this.
So they're in league. They're in league with the Chinese.
Yeah,
that's right.
They breathe carbon monoxide.
Totally, dude. They're like half plant.
But you'd think there was a more efficient way to do that.
Well, there might be, but not one that would disturb the populace. Because they could come down and use their own resources to make the planet the way they want it. But they got plenty of time. All they got to do is fund the right people. The factories get built. People get rich. You're using greed.
That's one. Obviously, like I said, obviously we'd be at a technological disadvantage, but the one possible weakness that they would have would be if they were not from an oxygen-rich environment.
Yeah.
They may have to, if they exit their vehicles, have to, move around in the equivalent of an environment suit.
Mm-hmm.
And that may be a possible weakness if they can't function. And I guess that whether, like I said, if they wanted to just conquer us and use us for something, or if they want to wipe us out and then do the equivalent of terraforming and take over the planet.
Well, if they were advanced enough to get here from there being someplace pretty far away, I would assume, unless it's Mars, they're going to have the ability to do some tricks to their DNA, I would believe, to be able to breathe our atmosphere.
Yeah, you'd think that.
You sure wouldn't want to fight in a spacesuit.
Right.
Because the first time you get punctured by anything, you go into a room with a sharp stick, and because that's exactly what it would take to.
If I were
you're
the
talking about
leader,
something like, you can extrapolate circumstances forever, but if they can make a spaceship that goes from one planet to another, then they can make a suit that's strong enough to resist puncture.
Sure, and I don't think they would.
They have lasers.
Why even send members of your populace out to do it? You just send robots. We've gotten to the point where we're getting ready to send robots into combat. Why even bother? Wasting
space bots.
There'd be, like an army of robots. We talked about the robots, but these are man-made robots last time. These are extraterrestrial robots that could totally kick our ass.
Space bots.
Well, alien robots are, there's a lot. Robbie the robot Was it not Robbie?
No, he was built by humans.
Was he built by humans? But then there was...
Gort.
Gort.
Yeah.
Gort was built by aliens.
Gort.
Oh, but we already know if that happens, you just say Klaatu Barada Nikto and they go away.
No, it's Klaatu Barada...
Nikto.
Oh. I said the words. I said your words.
So invasion of aliens.
That's what I would do. Why bother with the spacesuit stuff and worrying about, they've got spears and guns. And
So they're here gathering, so all of these sightings, that's reconnaissance flights, they're reconning the environment to design the perfect robot to destroy us.
Perhaps. I mean, they could have done that.
I still don't have confidence in that because they should have been able to figure that out from the first recon flight.
I think they're terraforming. I think they don't want us to think that they exist. It's the perfect ruse. I mean, it's like God. You don't know if God exists, but you kind of want to hedge your bets and not completely diss him and go up yours, God. You want to be like, yeah, I don't believe in God, but I'm afraid of him.
I don't know. I'm not. I don't. I'd have to. God knows. Who knows what the aliens are going to be? I don't know.
Well,
for all we know, the duckbill, everything in Australia is an alien species, and that's the jumping off point. They're just too busy. They just like it there. I mean, if you, it's a very dangerous place. There are plants that can put you in agony for a year. Everything will kill you. Duckbill platypus is a really cute little animal. It's poisonous.
How does a duck-billed platypus poison you?
They have spurs.
It's got a spur on their foot that is venomous.
Oh, really? Like a venomous toe?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Wow.
It's a little...
A kangaroo would kick your ass in about 30 seconds.
Oh, yeah, kangaroos.
A koala bear would scratch your eyes out if it had a chance.
And you'd think it was a giant mouse.
Saltwater crocodiles, great white sharks, all the deadliest spiders and snakes on the whole planet. And they all hang out in Australia.
I got beat up by a giant mouse.
Yeah.
Oh, father. So disappointed.
So
what we need to have a site a hardcore high level Scientologist on this show to tell us about the alien stuff that everybody denies about Scientology.
Well, I mean, what ways would we go about stopping an alien attack? Say if they had your traditional weapons of lasers, flying saucers.
I think we're essentially screwed.
Yeah, I do too. I just don't see any way out of this.
Because
except for maybe the V scenario.
Don't talk about that.
What's wrong with V? Now, V's not Battlefield Earth. I hate Battlefield Earth. V is awesome. Remember when the baby was born?
I remember everything about
God.
it.
And it had a forked tongue. And you're like, that slut.
No, honestly, I don't want to carry on the
V
conversation too long, but I don't remember how the series ended. I don't remember how we beat them.
Well,
not that I wanted.
Thinly disguised Nazis, and we totally kicked their ass, man, because they were, Nazis.
Because the like we've been discussing here, it's like if an alien species comes to this planet to conquer us or destroy us, they're not going to do it without advanced intelligence of what conditions here are like. So it's not like the sort of traditional, Wellesian War of the Worlds, where they come here, kick our ass with all this technology, but then get killed by some microbe in the air that we have developed immunity to over the millennia. Yep. But they didn't see that coming.
Well, that movie opens in a week. I wonder if they're going to change it.
I'm sure they will.
Microbes just aren't good copy.
When as much as I love it, the George Powell version from the 50s, which is a brilliant, great movie, it's got all the religious overtones at the end.
Oh, sure.
Where it touches on the real, the sort of the thing that Wells does, but there's all these religious overtones to where you really get the point of the movie is that God hates Martians.
Of course he does. God loves Americans.
Or God loves us more than he loves Martians.
Well, he loves Americans.
Well, you did invoke two words in that sentence, which was the thing.
Hey, that's right.
So that's another.
The thing is the scenario where
we're talking about I would be talking about the John Carpenter, the
Yeah.
One that's true to the story. Then,
Right.
even though the original
The Thing
version
from Another
is
World
awesome,
is a great film. Yeah.
but as far as like the whole like doppelganger
Yes.
thing,
Yeah,
for all we know,
if the
it's
thing,
here.
if the John Carpenter's The Thing scenario actually did take place,
I need to look. I have
then-
that book. I need to find the author to actually give him credit for that. But
who goes there?
Yeah.
That's the short
John
story.
W. Campbell.
yeah, Campbell. Mm.
Yes, John W. Campbell Jr.
It's a really good story.
Yes.
Closer, the John Carpenter is actually closer to the book than.
But that's what I mean. Like if they come here, they're going to know what to expect. They're going to know what the atmosphere is like. They're going to have, if they've been doing these flybys for ever how many decades or centuries or whatever, they do have intelligence. They've taken samples. If they've been probing people, they've been taking people. They're going to know what it's like. They're not going to be surprised by anything.
No.
They're not going to get here, blow up 6 or 7 cities, and then start. I got this weird cough. Like I killed 40,000 people today. I can't breathe. I'm all congested, and like they're going to know what it's like here. So there's not going to be any surprise.
Yeah.
They're probably stocking up on Claret.
And we're not going to pull out.
It's too humid.
But to me, we're going to be at a huge technological disadvantage,
Sure.
and they're going to know what things are like here. So nothing's going to surprise. We're not going to pull out. Oh, we've been saving this for you.
Yeah.
We don't have that super weapon.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, look, they're probably going to, if they get really desperate, they'll start nuking stuff, and then they'll just destroy. We can be like, well,
Yeah, they can just go
And,
fly
all they
into
would have to do
space
to
and
like
watch us do it.
And essentially, all they'd have to do to deter that would be to turn off all the electricity.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah, and that's the
You know
method
how you
for
gonna
killing
light?
us
You
all.
need you're gonna get like a match to try to light the fuel on a
yeah.
nuclear
So
missile.
it's
Sure.
they're not going to like suddenly decide to invade Earth. Because
No.
obviously it's not like, oh yeah, let's go. Let's do it. Like they got wasted, they got wasted and they all jumped in their spaceships and they're coming here. I'm gonna fuck that place up, man, And then they get here and it's all, they're gonna have time to plan it and they're gonna know what it's gonna be like here. And
Sure.
nothing's gonna surprise them, and whatever technology, whatever, weapons they have, whatever it is, lasers, heat rays, whatever, the poison gas shit that Wells talks about, whatever, it's not gonna, we're not gonna have nothing. We're gonna have nothing that's gonna be able to stop it.
No, we're screwed. Ack.
So I mean,
Ack.
we could conceivably, damage some of them, but
Well, except for what's his name?
don't bring up another bad. That's a preemptive strike on my part because I'm expecting to. But that's what I mean. It's
Slim Whitman, man. Slim Whitman.
Oh, Slim Whitman.
Slim Whitman.
Slim
Slim Whitman. Wasn't it Slim Whitman?
Slim Pickens.
No, Slim Whitman though.
Who's Slim Whitman?
Oh, okay. That's from Mars Attacks.
Oh,
They can't handle it, man. Their heads explode inside their helmets, dude. They're screwed. We got them.
well, maybe that's why they're not here.
Yodeling kills Martians. If anything, we should know
It's
that.
the music and the bad.
We have to
like,
remember
cheap
that.
beer.
We have to try all these things because if they come, man, we can't just go, that won't work. We got to try.
You gotta try it, I guess.
Because it'll be something small. It'll be like, none of our weapons work, but they don't like flashlights. And we'll just click them at them, and they'll go, fly back to their planet.
I don't know. I mean, I guess conceivably it could be something completely absurd like that because everything else that I think they would have, considered already. Like I said, they've had time to analyze roughly what our civilization is like.
Well, we'll have to analyze their defenses and
they're
see
going to know.
what they're.
They're going to understand our environment. They're going to understand, if they've been watching TV and listening to our radio transmissions. They're going to,
Yeah, and they would know that by now because if the Roswell crash was actually a recon mission, nothing significant. There hasn't been like a significant weapons development since the atom bomb. So
yeah.
I mean, we're still shooting bullets with gunpowder.
Yeah. Well, there's the biological weapon.
Well, that's not new.
No, but it's, we We capture one of them. We analyze their DNA. We see what kills them. We hope that it doesn't kill all of us. We make a clandestine weapon we can launch at them, kill them. You know, that may be our
that begs
chance.
the question: has that been done already, though?
Well, I mean, we may be
maybe we've already captured
now. It's hard
but
to
yeah,
say.
we're not gonna be able to do that once it started, because they're going to be like destroying a city an hour, you know. And if you're going to have to do all this analysis, you know, and then where do you get the funding? You know,
yeah.
You apply for a grant.
Yeah.
While they leveled Paris, but Paris, don't worry about. But
surely the CDC's got something going on. You know, they got the people down there that are trying to make pretty nasty stuff for the human race. All they got to do is just start working on the alien race.
Well, it depends on.
It's your government at work for you.
Creating stuff to kill aliens.
Or humans.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Anything
to kill.
The Satan bug.
That's
it kills
right.
Everything.
Yes.
It's. I mean, I don't see any way that we're just not completely screwed.
No.
So I guess we better hope that. I mean,
they're nice.
Or that at least they just want to use us for cheap labor.
or food.
Or cutlets.
That's even better.
Cutlets. Oh, that would be the best.
Human cutlets.
We get to hang out in a pen and eat all day. But they're putting hormones in us, man.
That wouldn't be too bad as long as the main beef that I have with consumables
if we're done
is
like
the fact that I have to pay for
and we
them.
get massages and stuff like that and get fed beer.
Kobe people.
That's right. They come out.
Feed me beer and grain and rub me down.
Yeah, that's right.
What is that? To Serve Mankind. The Zone episode. Yeah,
that's right.
Put them on the ship.
It's a cookbook.
And they give them like all the food.
Oh man, you just gave away the end of the episode. Oh. Damn you. That's a great episode for nobody who's seen it too. It's awesome.
Who hasn't seen that?
Well, anybody.
There are people who've never seen an episode of The Twilight Zone. Trust me.
What's the show?
Those people don't deserve to.
Then they see it and they appreciate it.
People have weird things happen to them.
Well, that's a good starting point. You can, but it's So I think unless the aliens have a use for us, if they come here just to wipe us out,
what about the cat from outer space?
Well, that's Ken Berry and Sandy Duncan.
She had a glass eye.
Yeah. Yes, she did. Ken Berry was a poor second to Dean Jones in my book.
Sure, he was a poor man's Dean Jones.
After Dean kind of moved on from being Disney's #1 man, Ken Berry kind of settled in. Ken Berry's got a good everyman quality to him, though. He doesn't have the charisma of a Dean Jones.
No. But he was definitely a stand-in for him.
Yes. They tried to replace Dean Jones.
It just didn't work. No.
But the Cat from Outer Space was a friendly alien.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's an unidentified flying oddball.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Those great Disney movies were made in the early 70s. They're awesome.
I remember I went to see Unidentified Flying Oddball at the drive-in.
Oh, that's great.
Which was a double feature with Spaceman and King Arthur's Court.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I remember that.
Oh, yeah. That was a good note. Strangely,
man, how old are you? About 8 when you saw that, or younger?
I was younger than that. Yeah, I was probably like 5 or 6.
I saw I think I might have seen the exact same double feature.
I think strangely we're almost still on topic.
Yeah, I really honestly think we are.
But
right.
Yeah, Space.
I still think it's weird that my parents took me to see Alien when it came out when I was like 7 years old.
Yeah.
Oh, Alien! You see, that's the scenario that we're definitely screwed from. Because you see, as the series progresses, it just gets worse and worse. The acting gets worse and worse, and the directing gets
Predator
ridiculous.
Too. I mean, there was the Predator scenario too.
Yeah.
So by the end of the thing, we're all so cliche. We don't want to live. That's
which is I watched Predator last night.
Yeah.
For the 15th time this month, I think. I watched a little bit of it this morning, and then reminded me of Alien. The Terror.
Yeah, I have. Yes, I have that on DVD.
That was on today, which is the movie that's sort of not, I don't want to say inspired Alien, but it's Alien-esque.
Yeah.
The creature's on the ship, it's lurking,
Yeah,
and it picks them off one by one.
Yeah.
And it actually has the earliest known alien in the air shaft scene ever.
That's true.
You know?
It's a great. I mean, the spaceship's not very big, but yet they can throw grenades in it.
Yeah.
And
they've all got those Space 45s, which is
it's like
I love all the ones from the 50s where they go to space and they issue them all 45s.
You're in a spaceship.
And they've got like
a
it's better than a laser gun. I mean, like they give them lasers in space, and you're like, don't shoot that indoors. Because
they've all got like the flight suit and like the canvas pistol belt and the leather holster with the 45, and it's all like,
they're total badasses.
You know, and it's like
they fly with an oscilloscope.
Because it's all like right after.
Look at an oscilloscope.
All the movies are like right after Korea, you know, so they've got all this stuff floating around. And
it's got just surplus.
It's like he's got
got Korean War surplus spaceship.
But I was sitting there watching it, and it's actually it's a decent movie.
Yeah, it's good.
Is it the Terror from Beyond Space? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very Alien-esque, and I'm like, you know, the creature.
It's pretty tense.
Yeah.
What's the Crawfords? Remember the movie with the giant bank of computers behind them, and they were all the. Oh, what was the company? It wasn't Crawford.
They were Burroughs.
Burroughs, yeah.
It's a
Burroughs, like
that's
adding machines with the tape drives and the big
it's got the
bank
blank. What is that movie where they're in like the command center?
I can't.
There's
think
a whole
of it.
wall
Is
of
it
Burroughs.
Disisland Earth.
No, it's pretty. It's not very good. It's even worse. This on Earth is okay, but I was watching it and it's actually the monster's kind of goofy looking, and there's a couple of cheesy scenes.
I love the big-headed brain monster,
the mutant from This on Earth.
Oh yeah.
And Mr. Exeter.
Yep.
When he comes on the Interocitor screen, and they're all like the weird kind of sissy guys with the big foreheads and the white hair.
That's right.
But I was watching. It's like it's sort of, you know, an inspiration for Alien, but it's actually not that bad. It's got Marshall Thompson, the guy that played Doctari, as the commander.
Doctari.
He's the only one that makes it out alive,
Yep.
and the beginning is him like saying, you know, I'm the only one that survived, and I'm going to tell you the story of what happened to the crew of rocket ship whatever, you know. But
that's right. I mean,
it's actually you know, it's not that bad. But I was watching the scene where the guy was shooting, and I'm like, you know, he's got the Space 45, and I hadn't seen it in years, and
so
it is to my knowledge the earliest known monster in the air.
That wasn't like necessarily an intelligent alien. They just landed on the planet, and while they were getting back on the ship, it snuck on. It was just some animal that snuck on.
It seems fairly clever.
Right, but I mean, it's not like it doesn't have a vehicle of its own. It's just the roaming. Like,
but it's got sort of, I guess, like predatory intelligence. It picks them off one by one,
like the space herpy in Ice Pirates.
God, man, why do you just the space herpy? No, I'd rather
I don't think the space herpy actually killed anybody.
No,
it just gave him space herpy.
Yeah, it just came out of the turkey.
I'd rather discuss the beach ball from Dark Star.
You know, arguably that was more dangerous. That was more dangerous.
The beach ball was the most dangerous.
The beach ball with hands. Oh, that movie's great. Oh, tell me they weren't high when they made that one.
Oh Lord.
You know, but it's
great movie.
I don't know, but it's I think have we finally strayed?
No,
we're still alien species
in
outer
space.
space.
I think we've determined that the only way to defeat the aliens is if we don't fight them on our home planet. I mean, if we fight them in space, we have a sort of the odds.
What are we going to fight them with?
A little bit.
We don't have any
Space 45.
Space 45.
That's right.
But how are we going to get into space? On the space shuttle?
Ships.
Oh, well, see, that's
our
future
Korean
stuff.
Korean War surplus. I'm sorry.
I'm just talking about with current technology.
Oh, with current technology, no.
No. The space shuttle sucks as a fighting machine.
There's no way you could fight aliens on the space shuttle.
Moonraker. They had.
What is it, man? What is wrong with you?
Did you eat some bad chili today?
Moonraker.
Oh man. Well, that's what they did. They come, they were all sitting in the back, and then they opened up the doors, and they all came out when they had the lasers on their chest.
And the rocket packs, and that's a bad sort of reproduction of the underwater scene from Thunderball.
Sure.
Actually, but in space. But So I guess we could fight aliens in space, but not on Earth.
Yeah. If they come here, we're screwed.
What about the moon?
Well, I mean, there hasn't been a whole lot of like. We went to the moon and played golf. We drove around in a cool little car. There just hasn't really been any kind of like other than moon base alpha, type stuff. There's always
so if we're in space and we encounter an alien, it's probably just going to be one, maybe two.
Yeah, it's
so
like
we
they're
got
kind
a
of
chance.
scarce, and they're not really intelligent. They're more predatory.
Yeah, but the concerted, if they come here in force, we're all screwed.
Yeah, we're doomed.
Whether they want to kill us or eat us.
Or be our friends. We're doomed. We're doomed to be their friends. Because eventually they're going to want to kill us or eat us. We'll screw up. They'll go,
They're going to bite us into the Galactic Brotherhood.
I mean, like, look.
And then 2 or 3 years later, like, fuck these people. Man.
You can't even go to some place like Japan without, you'll screw up. Yeah, you'll make some kind of faux pas. You'll pick up your fork and they'll be like, "Look, you eat with a fork," And
so yeah, if they come here and want to make friends,
they're gonna get pissed at us
eventually.
One way or the other.
Then they'll kick us out of the Galactic Brotherhood.
Yeah. Or they'll make us like the peon member. We'll be like Belize in the United Nations. And it's like you only have.
And they'll send us to like the worst planets to police stuff.
Yeah,
we'll be like the Galactic Brotherhood peacekeeping force. Yeah. It goes to send us to the lava planet. Send the Earthlings there. But it's all fucking lava.
It's hot.
Shut up. Or we'll annihilate your planet.
Yeah.
Damn it! I knew we should never have signed that treaty and joined the Galactic Brotherhood. They got no respect for us, man. They send us all the nasty planets. It's nothing but lava. There's nothing to stand on. It's all lava.
Get the crappy uniforms. These things don't even fit. It's like, my uniform's got 6 arms.
And pink berets.
Yeah. Yeah, because then they have to make the what if the uniforms might not fit unless Gene Roddenberry's right and 99% of all intelligent life is vaguely anthropomorphic.
Sure.
Isn't anthropomorphic?
Two arms and 2 legs and a torso and a head.
Yeah.
Sure.
99% of all intelligent life isn't anthropomorphic.
Hopefully.
They're just different colors and they have different, grooming standards.
Because if we've learned anything from that,
different stuff on their foreheads.
Green women from outer space are hot as shit.
But they all have 2
everybody knows that.
Kirk was getting some serious action.
I don't know.
There.
Green women from this planet.
I wonder what kind of VD he had.
Dude,
space herpes.
Yeah, space herpes.
I'm sure he had space herpes.
Dude, he had to, yeah.
He had something. Look what
That's
it did.
That's why he was such Bones was right there. I mean, he was the doctor.
Giving him the super shot.
That's right. He had to hang out with Bones. Bones had to give him
cure the space VD.
Yeah, he had to hang out with Bones. It's the only guy that knew what was going on the ship.
And Bones was a drunk.
Sure.
It's just,
Kirk gave him a job. He's like, you need a job.
He looks kind of half-wasted in more than a few of those episodes.
Sure.
I don't know. So we're basically screwed?
Yeah, we're screwed. If they come here, we're screwed. If we fight them in space and they're not intelligent enough to build their own ships, we kind of have a chance.
Did you say if they're not intelligent enough to build their own ships? How would they get here in the first place?
Well, like the alien and alien.
If we
okay. You knew something hitchhiked on a meteorite.
Yeah.
No, then we're screwed. Because then it'll land on the planet.
That's the Blob.
Yeah, then we're screwed.
But we beat the Blob.
Well, we beat the Blob because we had Steve.
Steve, that's true.
Yeah.
We don't have Steve anymore. We're screwed. Without Steve McQueen, the Blob will defeat us.
True.
So that scenario's out of the way. I mean, there's just not a whole lot of chance for us. If they come here, we're doomed.
Yeah.
But if we go there, we have a chance.
Yeah.
That's what.
Because by the time we get there, they'll be extinct or have left.
Or be so old.
Yeah, they'll be
really old.
They'll be really old. Yeah. Or maybe they're really small. They'll be really powerful but tiny, and we'll be giant sized. But they'll come here and they'll be like, "Whoa! Look how big they are!"
But then you can be incinerated by a ship like the size of a gnat.
Yeah. See, we're screwed.
Yeah, we're screwed. Because, if they're that powerful, then size doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. They're coming down here and they're showing us what's what.
So.
Well, unless, you got the
there is no
the
way
alternative
we can
that we're the most advanced species in the universe.
Well, that's what the Christians
And then, well, no, not necessarily. They would say we're the only species in the universe, but
yeah. I mean,
by
default, that's exactly
to go back
what
to
that
like
means.
the Twilight Zone. You have that one where the guy crash lands on a planet, his buddy's dead, and then he discovers that there's this tiny little alien race that lives on the planet, and they end up worshiping him as a god, and they build a little statue of him and stuff.
Or it could be really all screwed up in French, like Fantastic Planet, where they come and capture us and then take us back to their home planet and treat us like pets and make us wear weird outfits.
Oh,
yes.
And be their pets, live in a little box, and then we escape.
Yes.
Mate with the other escape people.
Okay.
And then
or maybe they're actually all monkeys or apes, like a race of apes.
They came here and that's because they came here and they turned us from apes into humans, where they took their DNA and injected it into
5 million years to Earth.
That's right.
They were intelligent Martians. They were giant Martian grasshopper people.
Yes.
Who took some hominids back to Mars, worked on them, altered them, brought them back here, and then released them. And as they interbred with the other ones, they sort of sparked an advance in intelligence by interbreeding with their unaltered cohorts. And then they evolved into us, and we're the product of some crazy experimental stuff by Martian grasshoppers. That movie is awesome. That is a totally whacked movie, but it's really cool.
To Earth, yeah.
It's very cool. I think that's a reasonably accurate synopsis of that. But.
Sure. That's the gist of it. I haven't seen that movie in a while.
I have that one on DVD. That's a cool
Really?
movie. Yes. That's one of the few Hammers that I have on DVD.
You see, all the Hammer alien movies were really on...
Oh, man, they're great. Island of the Burning Doom with Chris.
I don't think I've seen any Hammer alien movies.
Oh, there's the one with the subway. Where they're digging.
That's 5 million years to Earth.
Yeah.
That one's awesome.
Yeah,
but there's Island of the Burning Doomed, which is it's the small island off the coast of mainland Great Britain. It's one of those little bitty islands, and it's like in the summer and the tourist season, and the temperature keeps going up, and they can't figure out what's going on, and then he's like a weird scientist guy who's there, but nobody knows what he's doing, and it turns out it's like an advanced reconnaissance patrol of Venusians, and they've landed out in the woods, and they're like jacking up the temperature to get Earth close to their livable conditions. They're sort of Venus forming it, and they try to find a way. And they're like these weird sort of white blobby things, and they generate tremendous amounts of heat. So when people encounter one, they just sort of incinerate the human, and they find these charred people out in the woods. That one's totally cool.
Yeah.
And then there's what's the other one? Island. Oh,
There's one are you talking about the one with the pods that they cut open and it looks like spaghetti?
No, that's the other one. That's the one with Pete and Chris. That's like Island of Terror or something.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Well, then there's Invasion
I didn't know
of
it
the
was a
Body
Hammer
Snatchers,
movie.
like the greatest invasion movie of all time.
But I know.
Yeah, I think that's like Island of Terror. That's the one with Peter Cushing.
I didn't know that was a Hammer movie.
And
and
that's the other alien thing with the tentacles. They're the little things, and they have the one tentacle, and they suck your bone marrow, isn't it? Yeah, they latch on and drain your marrow.
I remember that.
Yeah, that one's really cool too. The Hammer alien movies are
oh yeah,
I didn't know.
Yeah, they're top.
There's those two and 5 Million Years to Earth. There's actually a couple of other Quatermass movies with that guy, Professor Quatermass, the character.
Quatermass and the
that are good, but they're not as good as 5 Million.
What's the other one?
There's the Quatermass Experiments is the very first one.
Yeah.
5 Million Years to Earth is also known as Quatermass and the Pit.
Yeah, Quatermass and the Pit. That's the one I was thinking of before.
But that's 5 Million Years to Earth.
Yeah, that's 5 Million Years to Earth.
Yeah. But yes, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the original is brilliant. The remake is actually a pretty good remake, I think. It's kind of dated, but it's actually a pretty decent remake. But the original with Kevin McCarthy. I think that's his name. Yeah. That one's just amazing. That's a great, great movie. Yes. And then that one, we're totally screwed. It's one of those cool, movies that didn't have the happy ending, had the kind of weird.
No. You see, that's just it. I mean, and I didn't even bring up Independence Day.
But
you just did.
Yeah, but Fucker. But I don't want to do that. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. See, people out there, I just want you to make sure that you watch out for pod people. Whenever you drive by a greenhouse, I just want you to know that deep inside that greenhouse, someplace in the back, they're growing pod people.
Or there's a thing from another world growing.
That's right. Because it was a vegetable.
Or triffids.
Yep. Though actually in the book, we created triffids.
Did we?
Yes. In the movie, they made them arrive on the meteorite that blind the people. But actually, in the book, the triffids were a government experiment.
Oh. That's true.
And when everyone's blinded by the meteor shower, like the people that tend the triffids and keep them under control, were all blinded, and the triffids got loose. And it was just a weird coincidence that, suddenly mobile, intelligent, flesh-eating plants get loose, and the vast majority of the population is blinded.
Okay.
Did you ever see Monolith Monsters? Have you ever seen that movie? Okay. Yeah. That's another alien invasion movie with a totally unintelligent alien. It's just a rock from outer space that when it gets wet, it grows to a giant monolith and then falls down and breaks into a million pieces. And then when it rains, they all grow, and eventually it's a bizarre movie, but it's a really cool concept.
Well, our time's up.
Oh.
Send us in your favorite scenario of alien destruction and doom to Destructomundo@gmail.com. Let us know what inspiring outer space thrillers have, scared the pants off you growing up. Let us know, what kind of aliens you think are out there, and what kind of chance do we have against them. Once again, yes, our email address is Destructomundo@gmail.com. And thanks for subscribing to our podcast.
And thank you to Belhaven Scottish Ale.
Yeah, that's right. This week we're drinking Belhaven Scottish Ale and
delicious
Ephemere Quebecois beer.
You're supporting the Quebecois.
It's a Quebecois apple beer.
And I don't really feel comfortable with that, but it's actually really good beer, and it's making me.
Unibrow has a really good brewery.
Yes, they do, and it is good beer. It is the only Quebec beer I've ever had, and I don't know. I can't deal with the fact that they want their own French state in my hemisphere, but oh well. If they keep making beer like this, I guess they can do whatever.
Honestly, keep their hands off my cheese.
Well, I'm James, and
I'm not.
I'm Ted. The K is silent.
I'm not Ted either.
Every week we're going to do this. We have no way of signing off without being total schmucks.
Because you can't see the hand signal that I'm making right now to all of you.
I'm going to put my pants back on.
You do that, man, because I've been uncomfortable
I'll see y'all next
the whole
week.
show. All right. We'll see you next week. Good night, good day, whatever the hell time it is where you're at.
Yes.